Aloha, e komo mai, and thank you for inviting me to be your tour guide to Hawaii and the Mission House in downtown Honolulu. Now, the Mission House video is about 5 minutes long, and it tells the story about the missionaries when they arrived in Hawaii in 1820 and how they worked with the natives, the medicine, the religion, the kahunas. You'll enjoy the Mission House very, very much. It's in the heart of downtown Honolulu. And take the bus system from Waikiki to downtown for $2.75. It's a wonderful, wonderful deal. After you visit the Mission House, take a walk maybe 3 blocks from there to the St. Andrew's Cathedral in Queen Emma Square. And Queen Emma envisioned the St. Andrew's Cathedral. She never lived to see it come to its fruition. The St. Andrew's Cathedral has evensong on Sundays at, I think, 5 o'clock. And since you're watching YouTube, you're quite sophisticated, so you know what evensong is. And incidentally, St. Andrew's Cathedral, if you're a friend of Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob, they have a few meetings at noon during the week. Well, once again, thank you for watching my video. Mahalo nui loa. And now, let's go Hawaii.
In 1820, a band of young New England missionaries, ordained ministers, a farmer, printer, and a physician, accompanied by their families and native Hawaiian helpers, arrived first at Kauai on the island of Hawaii. Part of the company remained on Hawaii, while the rest proceeded to Honolulu, Oahu. They brought the gospel to Hawaii to fulfill a passionate dream of Opukaha'ia, a Hawaiian youth who had died in New England in 1818. However, a year was to go by before King Liholiho agreed to allow the missionaries to establish the mission house in Honolulu. The missionaries lost little time preaching the gospel, looking after orphans, ministering to the sick, translating the Hawaiian language to a written form, establishing schools and churches, and printing the Bible in the Hawaiian language. From New England came the prefabricated frames for their homes, as well as supplies necessary to maintain the New England lifestyle in Hawaii. Honolulu landscape gradually took on a New England look. Translating the Bible into the Hawaiian language with the assistance of native collaborators was the primary goal of the missionaries, developing the first written language in Hawaiian. Their aim was to make literate the young and old, chiefs and commoner alike, so they would be able to read the gospel. Life was not easy for the missionary families. They suffered malnutrition and debilitating illness. Their family ties were broken when their children were sent to New England for schooling. Yet they endured. The physician not only looked after the health of the missionary company, but treated the illnesses of the native Hawaiians. His services were given without compensation. Perhaps his presence was one of the more pressing considerations that swayed King Liholiho to allow the missionaries to remain in Hawaii. The children played with toys that were brought around the horn, a link that reminded them of home in New England. The printing press that was brought to Hawaii by the missionaries was set up on the mission grounds in late 1821. It was a powerful tool to spread the gospel printed in the Hawaiian language. Both chiefs and commoners alike clamored for books printed on the press. The books were also studied diligently by young and old alike. Royal approval of the printed word was obtained on January 7, 1882, when Chief Keomoku, governor of Maui, made the first impression on the mission press. It was a spelling sheet in Hawaiian. It was Hawaii's first written language. The boys and girls who were boarders at the mission house received instructions in reading and writing and Bible study. They, in turn, became instructors conducting classes wherever their services were requested. The Hawaiian womenfolk quickly mastered the domestic skills taught by the missionaries, sewing, quilting, and the use of the spinning wheel. Yarn was obtained from the wool of sheep introduced to Hawaii by Captain James Vancouver 29 years earlier. The mission house was not only home for the missionaries, it was an orphanage, a school which taught reading, writing, and the scriptures, a training center of domestic arts, a medical dispensary, a temporary haven for the sick and destitute, and the home of the first printing press in Hawaii. The mission house kitchen was equipped with a water filter made of porous rock shaped like a bowl. The filtered water was for drinking and the preparation of food. Many food items, such as flour for baking, were imported from New England and supplemented with foods grown in Hawaii. The missionary influence was not only in the realm of the spiritual, but in education, government, and the law. The single most important personality that inspired evangelical missions to Hawaii was Opukahaia. At 15, he shipped to New England as a cabin boy where he studied and embraced Christianity. His plan was to return to Hawaii to preach the gospel. However, he died at the age of 26 before he was able to realize his dream. The first company of New England missionaries of 1820 fulfilled Opukahaia's dream when Christianity became the religion of the island kingdom.